Good morning. Welcome to 모닝스페셜. 여러분 안녕하세요. 8월 23일 금요일 최수진의 모닝스페셜입니다. One of the most awaited holidays is approaching fast, and even before we start checking on the gifts we'll buy and the clothes we'll wear, one of the most pressing items in the to-do checklist is setting the budget for the meal. Arguably the most delicious of the year, and one that's becoming increasingly challenging in the economic sense. That, of course, is the 추석 table. 네, 추석이 다가오고 있습니다. 올해는 예년보다 조금 빠른 9월 13일인데요. 다음 주 금요일이네요. 추석하면 우선 추석 차례상을 위한 물가가 걱정이죠. 그렇다면 올해 추석 차례상 비용은 어느 정도 할까요? 어제 발표한 한국농수산식품유통공사 자료에 따르면 전통시장의 경우 22만 8,632원, 대형 유통업체의 경우에는 31만 5,905원으로 지난해보다 소폭 하락했다고 합니다. 이는 쌀, 소고기, 북어, 배추 등 추석 성수품 28개 품목 가격을 조사한 결과인데요. 무, 배추, 시금치 등 채소류가 큰 폭으로 하락했고 배와 쌀은 가격이 올랐다고 합니다. Now, hopefully preparations to this long-awaited holiday doesn't damp the real significance of the holiday itself, which is, of course, to share and be thankful with family and friends. With that in mind, let me give you today's quiz question. When you feel very thankful, you can say that you feel this. 1번 gratitude, 2번 attitude. 오늘도 청취자 여러분의 많은 참여 기다리고 있습니다. 퀴즈 정답 보내주신 분들 중에 추첨을 통해서 총 5분께 저자극 순한 비누 보내드리겠습니다. 또 여러분의 소식과 소감 그리고 궁금한 점 있으시면 보내주시고요. 짧은 문자 50원, 긴 문자 100원에 샵 1045, 또 무료 반디 게시판이나 카카오톡 플러스 이용도 가능합니다. Okay, then let's kick off today's show with today's global headlines. 세계 각국 언론사들의 어떤 헤드라인이 올라왔는지 살펴보는 시간입니다. Touch Global Headlines.
The presidential office of Cheonghwa-dae has announced that it will not renew the GSOMIA pact with Japan.
청와대가 한일군사정보보호협정을 연장하지 않기로 했습니다.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has expressed hope that Seoul and Tokyo will continue to have dialogue and mend their ties.
폼페이오 미국 국무장관은 한일 군사 정보 보호 협정 종료라는 한국의 결정에 대해 대화를 통해 옳은 곳으로 관계를 돌리길 바란다고 밝혔습니다.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that when it comes to the trade dispute with China, he has no intention of backing down.
주스틴 트루도 캐나다 총리가 갈수록 심화되는 중국과의 무역 마찰에 대해 물러서지 않겠다는 입장을 밝혔습니다.
Turkey has notified illegal migrants in Istanbul that they have 2 months to leave the city.
터키 정부가 이스탄불 내 불법 체류자들에게 2달 안으로 도시를 떠날 것을 명령했습니다.
The Swiss government has enacted new rules making it compulsory for the country's largest firms to report gender pay gaps.
2021년부터 스위스 대기업은 남녀 간 임금 격차를 직원들에게 공개해야 합니다.
The world's largest all-electric ferry completed its first voyage with passengers in Denmark.
세계 최대의 순수 전기 페리가 덴마크에서 첫 항해를 마쳤습니다. And for the headlines and more on this Friday morning, I'm joined by Walter. Good morning, 선생님.
Good morning to you, and I guess I should say a purple good morning.
Yes, I'm wearing purple, and I have red earrings.
Would you call them red?
Wow. I don't know, orange?
Orange. To my eyes, they're orange, but color is sometimes subjective, especially for men. Many men have a color deficiency in terms of their eyesight.
Well, it seems like I have that deficiency this morning. I'm a bit colorblind for some reason, but I wanted to be colorful because it is Friday, and I love your shirt as well.
Well, a little bit of color in there too as well. Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, we have lots of stories to go over, but lots of people have been writing in within those few minutes that we've just kicked off the show under morning이라는 아이디 쓰시는 분이요. A cool and good morning to you. It's Friday, TGIF. It feels like fall is in the air.
Well, you were saying just before we went on air, today is one of those, I think, 24 seasonal divisions
네,
in the
오늘
traditional
처서예요.
calendar.
네, 그래서 굉장히 시원해지고 있는 것 같아요. It's amazing though, because you'd think every now and then these days would be off, but not really.
They do seem to be quite spot on,
Yeah,
yes.
it's amazing. It has gotten quite cool. And that's why I thought I'd look extra summery today because we don't have
Trying
many
to hang
days
on
left.
to those last grasps of summer.
맞아요. 이종각님은요. Good morning, 수진쌤. You look so cool. 이라고 보내주셨습니다.
Mission accomplished.
I feel cool, yeah. 다음 사연 읽어주시겠어요?
Sure, I can have a go at that. 홍지선님 says, Good morning. 오늘 수진쌤 귀걸이 탐나요?
네. 드릴까요? 네, 감사합니다. Well, we have lots of stories to go over, and we'll be reading out more of your messages in just a short while, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's go over the headlines. If you'd like to listen to those again, you can do so by going to our website. 조금 전에 들으신 헤드라인은요, 모닝스페셜 홈페이지 헤드라인 다시 듣기에서 무료로 다시 들으실 수 있습니다. 많은 이용 바랍니다. Let's go over the headlines.
Headline number 1. The presidential office of 청와대 announced that it will not renew the GSOMIA pact with Japan.
청와대가 한일군사정보보호협정 GSOMIA 연장을 하지 않기로 했습니다.
So this, of course, has been an ongoing story for a number of days now, with the deadline for the renewal of the agreement, I believe, being the 24th. And of course, that would be tomorrow. So the decision has come as of late last night. There was an announcement made from the presidential office. And now the next step will be to make an official announcement, if that has not already been done, to Tokyo itself through various diplomatic channels. And if we look at the reason why this decision was made, according to the report from the presidential office, they cited a grave change in security cooperation conditions and Tokyo's refusal to accept Seoul's repeated dialogue requests.
Lots of conflicts and disputes going back and forth between Seoul and Tokyo as of late, and this seems to be the latest move on Korea's part.
Yes, indeed. And just to clarify, the agreement itself, I believe, would expire in November, but there was a deadline whether to extend it or not, which I believe was that Saturday date that I mentioned.
Right, and the reason it's November is because that's when it was signed in the first place back in 2016, 3 years ago. 이로써 이제 2016년 11월에 체결된 GSOMIA가 3년이 채 안 됐죠. 소멸하게 된다는 소식입니다. Now, lots of different responses have been coming from around the world, and we'll look at that in just a bit. But tell us more about, the situation between Korea and Japan.
Well, of course, this is one of the latest developments there that has been ongoing since really going back to when Japan removed Korea from its white list of specific safe trading partners. And of course, you did mention the global response to the matter, but I think we do need to at least touch on the Japanese response here as
Sure.
well. And of course, the Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono did summon South Korea's ambassador Nam Gwan-pyo and lodged a formal complaint over Seoul's moves to not renew the GSOMIA pact, calling Seoul's move very regretful.
There have been differing responses within Korea as well to this, but overall, as you said, it is a move that is being seen as a very significant one. And, the recent disputes, as you mentioned, the white list there, Korea was wiped off Japan's white list, and we did a similar thing here as well. It does seem like the conflicts will continue.
Well, it certainly seems to be the case, definitely, but we'll have to wait to see what happens when there are more official discussions regarding Seoul's decision. And just for way of background, if people are wondering really how active was that GSOMIA agreement, according to the reports that I had seen, Korea and Japan had exchanged information through that GSOMIA agreement some 29 times as of this month.
But of course, a Cheongwade official did clarify that that does not mean safety issues will be at risk, security issues, I should say, because we do still have a channel to have dialogue with Japan through the United States as well. And we do have other channels where we can cooperate.
Right. This was a direct channel, which allowed the direct sharing between Korea and Japan, but there are still other ways that information sharing can technically happen.
네, 그렇습니다. 그래서 한일군사정보보호협정이 종료되더라도 한미 연합을 통해서 이제 일본과의 어떤 대화 또 협력은 진행이 될 수 있다라는 얘기도 청와대 관계자가 어제 덧붙여서 강조를 했습니다. Let's go on to the response from Washington side, and that takes us to headline number 2.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has expressed hope that Seoul and Tokyo will continue to have dialogue and mend their ties.
네, 폼페이오 미국 국무장관은요, 한일 군사 정보 보호 협정 종료 결정에 대해서 대화를 통해 옳은 곳으로 관계를 돌리길 바란다고 밝혔습니다.
So the quotation that I have here from U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is that he said the U.S. is disappointed to see the decision that the South Korean government has made about the information sharing agreement, and he does urge each of the two countries to continue to engage and to continue to have dialogue. He made those remarks while in Canada.
He did, yes, indeed. That disappointment obviously comes from Washington's perspective of actually wanting this GSOMIA to continue on. It did not want this to be broken, but of course, you know, every country has its own reasons for doing what it does, and Korea has decided, as you mentioned, to end this.
Yes, indeed, that was the decision made here in Korea. And going further in his response, Pompeo said that there is no doubt that the shared interests of Japan and South Korea are important and that they're important to the United States of America. And so in light of that, he expressed his hope that each of the two countries can begin to put that relationship back in what he called exactly the right place.
네, 미국은요. 이제 뭐 어떠한 경제 갈등, 보복이 있더라도 사실은 이 GSOMIA는 유지돼야 한다라는 입장을 계속 취해왔습니다. 그렇기 때문에 어제 실망스럽다라는 표현도 나왔고요. 그렇지만 이제 옳은 곳으로 가기를 바란다, 관계를 돌리길 바란다라고 하면서 미국에게 있어서도 한일의 공동 이익, 어떤 대화와 좋은 관계가 굉장히 중요하다라는 것을 강조했습니다. Okay, let's leave that story there and move on to headline number 3.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that when it comes to the trade dispute with China, he has no intention of backing down.
주스틴 트루도 캐나다 총리가 갈수록 심화되는 중국과의 무역 마찰에 대해서 물러서지 않겠다는 입장을 밝혔습니다.
So these remarks from Prime Minister Trudeau came while he was speaking to an audience in Montreal, just days, as a matter of fact, after Beijing had warned Canada not to meddle in Hong Kong's affairs. During that, of course, Trudeau also repeated his call for restraint there in Hong Kong and respect for human rights as the protests sweep, of course, through that former British colony in Hong Kong. And while the headline mentions trade dispute, there's also a few other things going on with China. China has detained 2 Canadian citizens, of course, and more on the trade issue, halted imports of canola seed and meat products from Canada, many people say in response to Canada having arrested a senior executive from Huawei.
Right, and that takes us back to last December when that took place. Everything that you mentioned there, of course, it sort of spiraled and got out of hand in a way. It all started off when the head, not the head, but one of the key members of Huawei, Wang Wenzhou, was detained in Canada. That was at the request of Washington, and we should clarify. But nonetheless, it was in Canada. And since then, lots of disputes have been going on. Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig were arrested. I think they were arrested on espionage allegations.
National security law at the very least, but perhaps that's specific as well, yes?
And lots of imports and exports, economic trade, I suppose, barriers that have been put into place since then. But we are seeing Canada saying, we will protect our country and our citizens. It does not matter what China does.
That is the case, and certainly you would expect a head of the state to say that in any case, but adding, I think, some significance to the situation here is that Canada is looking at having an election in October, and the current polls have the ruling Liberal Party with the opposition Conservative Party very neck and neck in those polls. So, of course, Mr. Trudeau may be trying to also gain a lead in the polls.
Okay.
Looking at China's response, speaking in Beijing on Thursday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that the problems in the bilateral relationship between Canada and China were totally Canada's responsibility. And again, according to that spokesperson, that Canada was urged to reflect upon what he called their mistakes and to treat China's problems more solemnly and to issue to the concerns of the release of that Huawei executive.
Right. And just to also touch upon the issue of Hong Kong and China and also where Canada comes in there, about 300,000 Canadian citizens currently reside in Hong Kong, making them one of the largest groups of foreigners residing in the country. And of course, Canada recently did condemn China's military actions. And regarding that, China has said, keep out of our own domestic situation.
Yeah, it's a good point to make. There are a large number of Canadians in Hong Kong, roughly 10 or even 11 times the number that are here in South Korea. So as you said, about 300,000 in Hong Kong, roughly maybe 30,000-ish here in South Korea.
네. 이제 무역 마찰에 대해서는 캐나다가 물러서지 않겠다라는 입장을 밝혔고요. 그런가 하면은 또 중국이 홍콩 시위 긴장을 완화해야 된다라는 입장도 캐나다가 밝혔습니다. Let's go on to headline number 4.
Turkey has notified illegal migrants in Istanbul that they have 2 months to leave the city.
터키 정부가 이스탄불 내 불법 체류자들에게 2달 안으로 도시를 떠날 것을 명령했습니다.
So this is actually somewhat of an extension of an earlier date that was given. So
Right.
when making this announcement, Turkey did indeed extend that deadline for Syrian refugees who are not registered in Istanbul to leave the city or to be removed by that October 30th deadline. Last month, it was announced by the city's governor that Syrians who had registered in other provinces of Turkey must then return to those places by Tuesday, August 20th. And of course, that raised concerns among the Syrian community and aid organizations in the area.
There seems to have been some sort of a misunderstanding because it was supposed to be leave the city, but some of the people in the country misunderstood that, or at least the press seems to have misunderstood as leave the country, and that of course complicated things, and people said we need more time, we can't just leave the country like that. And so the Turkish government has clarified, we are not saying you have to leave the country, but please do leave Istanbul.
Right, the city of Istanbul, that's indeed correct. Now, there were also some exemptions to that, perhaps, which are notable. The students and the families of students, as well as those with officially registered jobs in Istanbul, were also exempted from the need to relocate.
네, 애초에는 이제 지난 20일까지 출국이 아니고요. 이 도시를 떠날 것을 요구했습니다. 그렇지만 이제 2달 연장한 것에 대해서는 일부 언론이 오해를 한 것 같다. 그러면서 터키를 떠나라는 출국으로 오해를 해서 좀 더 일이 복잡해진 것 같은데 2달 연장을 해줌으로써 이제 이스탄불을 떠나라라는 얘기를 했는데요. 터키 내무부에 따르면은 현재 터키 안에 이제 시리아 난민이 한 364만 명에 달한다고 합니다. Okay, and we'll leave that story there. Go on to headline number 5.
The Swiss government has enacted new rules making it compulsory for the country's largest firms to report gender pay gaps.
네, 2021년부터 스위스 대기업은요, 남녀 간 임금 격차를 직원들에게 공개해야 합니다.
So the move to make those reports official and compulsory and mandatory will come into full force on July 1st of 2020. Under those new rules, Swiss firms with 100 or more employees will have to provide the gender pay gap analysis every 4 years up until the year 2032 under the current regulations. Now that ironically only applies to less than 1% of all Swiss companies. However, a among that, a large number of all workers in the country are covered, roughly 46% of the country's workers.
네, 그렇습니다. 스위스에서는 이제 직원이 100명 이상인 경우에는 기업이 내년 7월부터 남녀 간의 임금 격차를 조사해서 그 결과를 직원들에게 공개해야 하는데요. 이렇게 100인 이상 되는 기업의 숫자 자체는 몇 개 되지 않지만 그 기업에서 일을 하고 있는 직원은 굉장히 많기 때문에 많은 사람들에게 해당이 될 것 같습니다. 다만 이제 임금 격차가 있다고 해도 제재 조항은 없다고 해요. 그래서 이 법에 대해서는 2032년 정도가 돼야 이제 발효가 될 것 같습니다. I mean, there's no particular law saying even if there is a gender discrimination or gender gap, that doesn't mean they have to make any immediate changes.
Yeah, that's what many critics are pointing out, saying that the policy really has no teeth and rather referring it to as a gender guideline rather than a policy. And just by way of background, according to the Swiss Federal Statistics Office, male employees in Switzerland earned on average just over 18% more than their female colleagues back in 2016.
아, 그렇군요. 그래서 스위스에서는 여성과 남성의 임금을 한번 비교를 해봤더니 보통 여성이 남성보다 매달 한 70만 원 정도 적게 받는 것으로 평균치가 이렇게 나왔다고 합니다. 최근 그 ILO 국제노동기구가 조사한 결과에 따르면은요. 스위스가 남녀 임금 격차 조사에서 특히 고위직의 남녀 임금 격차 조사에서 하위권을 차지했다고 하네요. Okay, let's go on to headline number 6.
The world's largest all-electric ferry completed its first voyage with passengers in Denmark.
세계 최대의 순수 전기 페리가 덴마크에서 첫 항해를 마쳤습니다.
So the particular ferry in question is known as the Ellen. So good news there for fans of Ellen DeGeneres. Not named after her, I'm sure, but nevertheless, that is the name. The Ellen made its maiden voyage, and it is capable of carrying 30 vehicles and 200 passengers, and it's powered by a battery that officials say has an unprecedented capacity, meaning there's been no larger battery, at least in that application before, and it's hoped that over 1 year it will prevent the release of some 2,000 tons of carbon dioxide, 42 tons of nitrous oxide, and 2.5 tons of other dust particulates.
아, 네, 그래서 이제 가장 규모가 큰 순수 전기 페리가 첫 항해를 마쳤는데요. 연간 이산화탄소는 2,000톤을 줄이는 효과가 있다고 하고요. 질소 산화물은 42톤, 또 이산화황은 1.4톤을 그 배출량을 줄이는 효과가 있다고 합니다. Okay, well, those are our headlines. Let's remind our listeners of the quiz.
Well, many people might be thankful about the good effect on the environment of the ferry, the Ellen, so our quiz is about being thankful. When you feel thankful, you can say that you feel blank. And it's a bit tricky, so listen carefully. Would that be number 1, you feel gratitude, or number 2, you feel attitude?
네, 그래요. 그렇습니다. I'm trying to stress my g sounds. I don't know if you got that. 짧은 문자 50원, 긴 문자 100원에 샵 1045로 보내주시고요. 반디 게시판이나 카카오톡 플러스 이용도 가능합니다. 추첨을 통해서 총 5분께 저자국 순환비누 보내드릴게요. 노래 듣고 와서 뉴스 포커스와 여러분의 사연 살펴보겠습니다. This is Spin Doctors, To Princess.